Hey, all, welcome to my channel. I'm not going to say much about the March Madness. It's March Madness. I'm sorry, I'm just a little distracted, unfortunately, but it is March Madness, and the team of 64 has already done it, and it's down to the round two team of 32. I'm not going to say much. There's been upsets galore, Cinderella teams, etc. Um, you've seen my picks. Well, I haven't talked about it here, but I've talked about my picks on another channel. So I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm going to talk more about a little bit about the Grand Prix more than anything else. Specifically, that the Australian Grand Prix is happening tonight, um, in happening at nighttime, basically. Where reality is our nighttime, Australia's daytime, basically. Um, as the way things stands right now, based off how they're starting off, it's going to be Max Verstappen, pole position, Sainz number two, Checo three, Lando number four, and Leclerc was number five. What's a little surprising actually, and then of course Russell being seven. The one thing that's really surprising is Hamilton being number 11. Um, it's a little surprising. I think Hamilton's pretty much essentially given up for the season. I think he's just going to try like try and go hard off to the point where he's not physically debilitated or exhausted this season, saving himself up for the next season when he transfers over to Ferrari. So it's one of those things where it's great for him, to the point where he doesn't care because he's done, so it doesn't matter. He's just a lame dunk with Mercedes. He knows he doesn't have a great car. He's why even bother? Just take it easy, score him some points, whatever it may be. That's it. Um, and also at the same time, no full well they're going to go to Ferrari, let them be the number two so that they get more money in the Constructors' Cup, for second place, so that they can put more towards the car at that point too. So it kind of makes sense. So you could deliberately sort of sabotage in ways as well too. Honestly, with Max, he's most likely going to win it. Strongly going to be winning it. Basically, my opinion is basically he's definitely going to win it. It's shaping up to another fourth season in a row where he's going to get it, tying the other Red Bull with Sebastian Vettel, where he won four straight. Chances are he's probably going to get five or six more, another two more next year and the year after, depending on how well Red Bull adjusts and as well as where Ferrari is at that point. The one person I kind of feel sorry for is Carlos Sainz. He's going all out. I mean, for the last race, unfortunately, it didn't work out really well. But I think for here on out, I think he's just going to go all out and try to make a case for himself for any team out there, the front running team, basically, whether it be Mercedes, Mercedes is still looking for that driver to replace Hamilton, possibly even for all we know, Alpine. Alpine's another possibility too. I mean, even though it's not really talked about yet. And then of course there's Aston Martin, because I mean honestly, Alonso could go to Mercedes. Between Aston Martin's going to need a driver. Carlos Sainz makes sense. The other factor is it would probably make sense to get rid of Stroll, because Stroll, as good as he is, doesn't seem to be doing so well as well too. And I hate to say this, but Checo, I think he's probably going to be cut, because it's more of a case where he's not consistent. He's just number two. I think Red Bull wants that competition between their number one and number two driver. Sainz seems like he can be that person. I'd be really surprised if Sainz actually comes back, but the reality is I doubt that, because it's more of a case where Christian Horner seems like he's more focused on trying to get Daniel Ricciardo back into the Red Bull. It's a possibility, but I mean Daniel right now is not showing anything at this point with AlphaTauri. I mean, if he could score some points down the line, then yeah, I think then maybe he can get into the Red Bull car again. But in reality is he's not showing what the old honey badger that he was, basically. So I hate to say this, but I don't see Daniel Ricciardo being the number two driver in Red Bull or being in the Red Bull car. Probably still be stuck with AlphaTauri, and that's it. Now with as it's been now it is Cake Sauber Ferrari. Don't be surprised if it's a possibility that maybe Sainz goes back there. I know it's not great for him because he's in a front running car now. It's going to go back to that. I think he's going to be really not so keen on that. But if he wants the race, it's the only way to go. Unless if Mercedes doesn't come to him and and Aston Martin doesn't come to him, if Alonso goes to Mercedes, that is, then he's gonna have no choice but to go to Sauber, because I mean, there's not much that you can do with that. I mean, Bottas is the one main one basically, and like you saw what happened with them. And Zhao Ganyu, I don't know how Zhao works off in that situation. It might be gone, or two, would that matter for Alpine for that matter? Because I mean, between Gasly and it looks like Gasly's going to stay, Alcon's going to be gone, or vice versa. I can't remember exactly, but um, they're not going to have them. They're just fighting with each other at this point. I don't know if that's going to happen. So we'll see what happens till the end of the season and see what happens between Ocon and Gasly. Chances are, I think Ocon's going to be cut, and if that's the case, we'll look for basically most likely Sainz coming back to Alpine, aka Renault, and probably doing something with that. I mean, it'd be great if he could get the number 2 car, but that's it. But in that situation with Lewis Hamilton, again, I think this is the end for him. Basically, I don't think he cares. I don't think he really cares too much to the point like if Aston Martin actually gets the number 3 spot. Quite honestly, Russell is going to go all out, of course, and try to make sure that Mercedes gets the number 2 in the Constructors' Cup. But between them and Ferrari, it seems like we have to wait for the rest of the season. Aston Martin seems like Alonso's coming up and playing up to what he needs to, and I think he can potentially get that car. He's maximized the potential. Put it that way. He's definitely maximizing that potential. I don't think anyone wants to go into a Mercedes car at this point right now. It looks like they're on the downstream. And let's be honest, Toto Wolff, when he first came to Mercedes and inherited as team principal, he inherited everything that was from his predecessor. I forgot his predecessor's name, unfortunately, but he inherited it. Didn't do much. And Christian Horner even called him out at one point. He's like, look, he didn't really do much to Mercedes. He inherited everything that was built towards it, and he hasn't done anything. Like when there's more now changes are being made, he doesn't know how to handle for it. So the question is Toto Wolff, good enough as a team principal to handle the changes? In reality is, even Toto Wolff himself says he's not really a mechanical guy. He's more of a finance guy. So honestly, more than anything else, Toto Wolff probably doesn't deserve to be the team principal. I hate to say this, but he probably doesn't deserve to be the team principal compared to Williams' car, basically, with the guy, I forgot his name now. Even though he's more of a stats guy, I forgot the team principal's name for Williams, but even though he's a stats guy, he still has some aspects that he understands, and he's able to build off what Williams is slowly becoming to what they need to be. They're not going to get to the year of glory, their glory years, basically. Of course, they're probably going to be in the middle of the pack. I think that's where they're trying to get to, is being back into the middle back before they can get back up into the top spots, cars and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I hate to say this, but this is probably going to just be a mundane year unless Sainz dramatically changes and basically puts Ferrari and he constantly wins, gets pole position as well as wins the races. I don't see anything happen because Leclerc, he's not going to win these races against Max. And I don't think anyone else is challenging Max at this point. I think out of the 2 people that probably could challenge Max is probably Sainz and most likely as well Fernando Alonso. I want to say Leclerc can, but I think Leclerc's skills are starting to be seen where he's got the raw talent, but I don't think he's developing him fast enough. Whereas Sainz, you're seeing what he can do now. You definitely can see what he can do. I think he has that ability to be your number 1 driver, but unfortunately, I don't think anyone can recognize it. And the one thing is, let's not forget, Sainz is one of those guys where he's not a troublemaker. He's not a guy that basically goes against the team. He's more of a team player, and you don't rarely ever see any controversy around him, like Leclerc was, like Sebastian was, like Max is, like the Honey Badger, like George Russell for that matter, or even for that matter, Lando Norris. This is a guy that pretty much stays under the radar, but shows you his skills. And I hate to say this, but like I think if he was in a Red Bull car, it might be a different story as well. I think he might be challenging Max consistently, day in, day out, compared to Checo does. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but that's what it is. But with that, let me know your thoughts. Do you think this is just going to be another mundane season for F1, Formula One? Chances are, do you think Max is going to win it? Do you see in the Constructors' Cup between the number 2 and number 3 spot. That's the challenge where it's going to come down to who's going to get the number 2 spot. Do you see what it was like last year with Mercedes versus Ferrari? Is it now just going to be Ferrari versus Aston Martin, or Ferrari versus Mercedes, or is it going to be between the 2 and 3 and number 2 and 3 spot? Basically, and see how that works out at that point too. But again, only time will tell. But with that, I'll leave it at that. If you like my video, like my content, like my channel, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you do like my channel, please leave a thumbs up. And I also welcome comments, so please leave a comment in the comment section. I do read all my comments, and I do respond to when they warrant a response. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.